The very Cape Cod beaches he loved reflect the first melancholy day of remembrance. His summer home is a monument to this young man whose gaiety is today recalled with sadness in every corner of the nation, in every country in the world. Interfaith services are held at University Methodist Church in Austin, Texas, attended by President Johnson, who had proclaimed, "On this day let the word go forth to friend and foe alike, that his vision still guides the nation which was the source and object of his greatness." He was of the Catholic faith. In majestic St. Patrick's and in small parish churches, the Mass is celebrated for him. In churches of other faiths, in thousands of them, there were prayers that in this time of self-assessment and reappraisal for the American people, some reason might be found that makes such a sad anniversary necessary. There were memorials, formal and informal. In millions of homes there came moments to recall that day when the beat of the muffled drums cast wave after wave of sadness across the world. Rarely have there been such spontaneous gatherings to honor a man. On the tragic anniversary, there are new outpourings of esteem and affection. In Paris, there are tributes to a leader who had unforgettable impact on world history. In West Germany, where he had received an unprecedented ovation on his triumphal tour, flowers are placed by the people who looked upon their honorary citizen as their greatest friend. That assassin's bullet thrust into memory such poignant scenes as this. Vignettes full of life and love, unclouded by some unkind fate that lay in the so near future. Then, just a year ago, his family stood on the steps of the cathedral in Washington as little John, with gentle prompting from his mother, gives a soldier's farewell to his father. A promised era of new and vigorous leadership ended at the Cemetery of Heroes, where the martyred man was buried on a hillside overlooking the Potomac River. In a year, more than 7 million visited the gravesite that will now be marked with a monument simple in design, but majestic in its simplicity. The tomb will have the eternal flame as its center symbol. Beside the main slate marker will be 2 smaller stones over the graves of his 2 infant children. On this day of remembrance, more than 40,000 people braved the bitter cold to file past the gravesite. Diplomats, students, the aged, the children. There are elaborate floral tributes, there are simple nosegays, but overall there is love and affection, the knowledge that they had been privileged to know greatness. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of mourners continue to file past the grave of President Kennedy. It is a quiet throng, a prayerful one, and hundreds leave simple bouquets with their tears. With the eternal flame at the grave casting a bright memorial, the sorrowing crowd files by each day in unending stream until the gates of Arlington are closed. It has been announced that an architect has been commissioned to design a monument for the site, a monument to the martyred leader. At Arlington National Cemetery, 50,000 filed by the grave of President Kennedy on what would have been his 47th birthday. Mrs. Kennedy, with John Jr. and Caroline, makes a pilgrimage to her martyred husband's grave after attending a memorial mass. In the 6 months since the assassination, 3 million people have filed past the site. While President Kennedy belongs to the ages, the legacy he left behind will be his monument to coming.
an entire world into mourning. Now, on the second anniversary of that fateful day, a world that remembers pays tribute to the leader who had held out the promise of a brighter future for all men, who had hoped to lead his nation to ever greater glory, and who left behind him a bright legacy unfulfilled. May we ever honor this man as we do this day, and remember his flashing wit, his ready smile, his integrity, his patriotism. A somber note marked the visit of the princess when she paid her respects at the grave of President Kennedy. Her tribute came on the eve of the second anniversary of his assassination.